like to share with you today an amazing memoir that I've heard from Rabbi Chaim Freelander, what I think it means, and then I would like to conclude with a very encouraging word that I saw from Rabbi Chaim Freelander that I think you will really appreciate. But first, the word that I heard from Rabbi Zisha. My grandfather used to say that one time Rabbi Zisha had a machiach, which means he had someone who came and told him Musar. One day the machiach came to Rabbi Zisha and said, Rabbi Zisha, do Teshuvah. You have to do Teshuvah. And Rabbi Zisha turns to the machiach and says, I don't know what you mean. Why do you want me to do Teshuvah? Teshuvah would indicate I need to go back to the way I was before. I don't like the way I was before. I wasn't happy with the way I was yesterday. So why would I want to go do Teshuvah? So the machiach was caught off guard and dumbfounded. And Rabbi Zisha, I'll tell you what Teshuvah means. Teshuvah stands for Tov, Tomim Tia Im Hashem Lekecho, Shavisi Hashem Lenegdi Shomit, V'havta L'recha Kamoicha, B'chol Dorchecha De'eyu, and Hatznei Lechas Im Hashem Lekecho. So obviously that is very profound and would take quite a bit to think about and to understand everything that he meant. But I believe included in what he was saying was an important concept. Because the first question that one might ask is, what does it mean? Teshuvah, if you look in all of the Sifrei Halacha, it would tell you that Teshuvah has 4 parts. It's about doing Teshuvah, looking at yourself, having charata, vidui, kabbalah al-asid, right? And in the middle of there is ziva sachet. There are 4 steps to Teshuvah that are brought on Halacha. And why is Rabbi Zisha overlooking all of them? And I think Rabbi Zisha is telling us an important thing. And I think he's telling us that we have to separate them. And we have to take the 2 concepts. One of looking forward to coming closer to Hashem. And the other one, which is looking down and looking at ourselves and looking at the past and trying to fix them. And we need to understand the context of them. And the context of the Teshuvah, of looking at ourselves and look, the 4 steps of Teshuvah has to be taken and put in context that it's part of a relationship. It's part of coming closer to Hashem, of going forward. And that if a person were to just do the 4 parts of Teshuvah, but not in the context of a relationship to Hashem, then he is likely to come to depression, self-loathing, and other negative attitudes. But if it's in the context of doing Teshuvah, of coming closer to Hashem, of a relationship to Hashem, then it'll bring a person higher. It'll allow a person to be able to look at himself in a healthy way, reflect on his actions, and indeed improve his ways, bringing himself closer to Hashem. And we find that is true because in Shemona Esrei there are 2 brachas. There's Haroitze B'Shuvah, the relationship that Hashem wants us to come back to Him, precedes the bracha of Chanun Hamar B'Nishlech, where we actually state the Haveros and do Tshuva on them. Similarly, we find the Seiras Yemei Teshuvah, the first 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, where we do very little, quote-unquote, Teshuvah, because it's all about the relationship, making Hashem our king, putting ourselves in His dominion, in His kingdom, and then we can then have the next 8 days of being able to be self-reflective, introspective, and do the 4 parts of Teshuvah. And now for the amazing word. If you look in the bracha of Shemona Esrei, Haroitze B'Teshuvah, it has a Hey HaYediyah. We say that Hashem is Haroitze B'Teshuvah, the one that wants us to do Teshuvah. And interestingly, when you look throughout the brachas of Shemona Esrei, some have that Hey HaYediyah, some don't. Mechaye HaMesim does, Hakel HaKadosh does, but Goel Yisrael does not. Haroitze B'Teshuvah does, but Roifei Chorli Amar Yisrael does not. Shema Kulenu does not. B'nai Yushalayim does not. So why do some brachas have a Hey Yediyah and some don't? I saw in the Sefer from Rabbi Chaim Freelander an amazing word. What it means to say is that there are many things that we talk about in Shemona Esrei and ask from Hashem that oftentimes can have shluchim, that a man, that other people can do as Hashem shluchim. Goel Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu was the Goel Yisrael at one point of time. There are oftentimes doctors that do those things. But the things that only Hashem can do, those things have a Hey Yediyah. Mechaye HaMesim, only Hashem is the one who can bring the dead back to life. So what is Haroitze B'Teshuvah? Why is that a hey idea? Why is only Hashem the one who wants Teshuvah? Very often in relationships between one person and their friend, they also do things wrong and the other person wants to do Teshuvah. The answer is, when it comes to a person, when you offend them and do something wrong, you ask for forgiveness and they forgive you, but then you do it again. Maybe they'll forgive you a second, maybe a third, but eventually they give up. Eventually they say, enough's enough. You've done it too many times. Hashem's Roitze B'Teshuvah is eternal. No matter how many times we do something wrong, Hashem always wants us to come back. Hashem is HaRoitze B'Teshuvah. He always wants us. He loves us. Always forgiving. We need to remember, when we go to do Teshuvah, we're doing Teshuvah to Hashem that loves us, that wants us. That's HaRoitze B'Teshuvah. And with that, we can do Teshuvah in a healthy way, a way that we are able to understand the context of what we're doing is to come closer to Hashem as we analyze ourselves and critical of ourselves, and sometimes even very strongly critical of ourselves. It's only in the context of Hashem's love that is a healthy and positive experience. So a good Chodesh, as we've now entered in the month of Elul, and we are all working on improving our relationships with Hashem and improving our actions and deeds. And we look forward to being able to be Mekabel Hashem as indeed the Melech HaKodesh. And Hashem will give us a Gemar Din that all of us will be Nichtav b'Sefer Chaim Tovim Aruchim L'Sholom, in the Sefer of Refuos and Yeshuos, and we can look forward to a year that's filled with all good.